Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
Punk rock ruined my life and other stories. Minister for the counterculture, even get it right. Mancunian mainstay, alternative national treasure, John Robb has lived a life in music. In this raucous memoir, he charts his ventures to the cultural frontline, chronicling the making of a DIY icon. He's not going to tell us how his shells up, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stand back because I am honoured, nay, privileged to welcome John Robb on the show. John, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. That's sounds like that's a nice build-up, isn't it?
Isn't it? I mean, alternative national treasure. Man, make you sound like, I don't know, punk rock's version of Dame Edna or something.
Antique.
An antique, exactly. How are you, my friend? You good?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just starting the book tour. So did Belfast last night.
Yeah, I mean, what's it like doing a book tour? Because I mean, you've been involved in their music for a bit now. Is a book tour as rock and roll as being a bassist in a punk band?
Well, it depends how rock and roll you want it to be, doesn't it? I mean, I've always liked the rock and roll without the rock and roll lifestyle, which is actually quite tedious, isn't it? It's quite sad, especially when people get older, seeing them sort of trying to maintain that rock and roll lifestyle. It looks like very hard work to me. Yeah. But it's like being on tour in a band without the bands. So you just go around on your own all the time, which is actually it's good because it's quicker. Yeah. You don't have to wait for all the people, the hangovers, to get out of bed. You just go when you want to go.
You don't have to look to where the drummer's gone because there isn't one, sort of thing.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, you don't lose people because there are no. It's only you. It's a lot of bus stations and train stations. Mm. Yeah.
What's the rider like? What's the rider like on a book tour? Is it?
God, it can be so disappointing for you. You're expecting me to have some Fall of Rome Star Rider and the Emperor Nero's rider. Yeah,
exactly.
Down a whole city. It's like tea bags and a little box of vegan food, like some bread.
So how did you get into? Because somebody once said, some person once said, writing about music is like dancing about architecture, which I don't think is right. But I mean, how do you get into sort of writing about music?
It's Frank Zappa that said that, wasn't it? But his music sounds like a building falling down, doesn't it? So I don't know if he's the one to judge about writing about music. But I think if you're a music fan, initially you'd always tell all the people about the stuff you like and why you like it, and it sort of goes on from there, doesn't it? I don't find it... It's creative, isn't it, writing about music? Just like making music's creative, isn't it? So the flow of words can be as creative as a song is.
You see, the things I've always thought about writing about music is the fact that, because when you're at a concert, and hey, you've been to more than I have, but it's a visceral experience. It's a connection between a performer and the audience. And so that's one. And you've got to try and write about that in a way that goes, and then they played this song, and then they played that song, and the audience was very good, and the band was very good. And it sounds like, your 14-year-old essay, doesn't it, John?
You can do it like that if you want to, but you can just do an overview of the thing and describe the thing that's right in front of you, and you don't even have to write about the music. You can write about the cultural context of the band, what the audience looks like, what the audience is doing, the way, and describe what that music makes you feel as well. And that's the difference, I think, between music writing and normal journalism, is you're writing about stuff that's feelings, what it makes you.
They live in a world where you go to a gig now, and one of my personal bête noirs is you've got people holding up the bleeding phones to capture, because they're never going to go home and watch the bleeding thing. But you can kind of, if somebody's played a gig last night in Belfast, it can be around the world in 0.2 seconds. And yeah, in the 70s and the 80s, when we quote unquote grew up and had to go and buy the actual music at a record store, kids ask your parents, there was no way of knowing who was good and who was bad. And so, the music press was a way of saying there's this great new band that we've listened to and haven't been sent by an A&R man. We found this stuff. This is why, Peel was such a god.
Yeah, there's definitely that's kind of gone. Well, not totally gone, because most people don't have the time to sift through. There's more bands than ever, so who's going to sift through all that? So somebody's got to go out there and do it, and then explain why it works and put it into some kind of context. So in the 70s, that role was much bigger, but it hasn't gone away. And also, I think people like having somebody to say why this works, why it doesn't work, or sometimes making unlikely connections between bands. So it's, when you talk about music to other people, there's so many different angles you can go on about it. It's just articulating why you like it, why other people should like it. And also, I'm bringing out angles that people don't think about. Some bands, the music could be good, but they have really great socks, which because when music is a 360, isn't it? It's the artwork of the records, the hair, the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially British music, because it was always about dressing up, wasn't it, as well as making music.
Well, absolutely. I mean, how did you first get into the music stuff? Because I'm thinking early 70s. It's kind of a glam way. It's a sort of a glam ziggy sort of landscape out there. I mean, other bands are bringing out five gatefold album sleeves of 18-hour drum solos. This wasn't something that you were particularly wanting to get into, John. What made you pick up a fearsome bass and think, right, I'm going to do this?
Well, actually, I did like glam rock first, so I was
right.
I was just one of those kids watching Todd the Pops. The prog stuff is too much for them. That's for older kids. I mean, I was 12. I mean, when you get older, you sort of, oh, yeah, I see what they're trying to do there. But when you're 12, you just want the chorus, don't you? Which I still do, really.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Everyone was dressed up in mad clothes, and it was on Top of Pops. It was Bowie and Bolan were gods. But, of course, Slade, Sweet, Mud, even Sparks, all those bands, fantastic singles. It was a great time to be a teenager and a teenager. And then that seemed to fade out a bit, and all the groups started wearing denim and sounding like denim. And it sounded like denim's the worst thing in the world, and it sounded like blue denim. And then punk just came out of nowhere. It's like, wow. But we didn't know how to be punks. You became a punk, but you didn't go and go to the shop and get a punk outfit.
Yeah.
There was about 4 records, and all the trousers you get were flares. You had to work out to take them in by stitching them and piercing your own ears. It was so homemade, so naive and so fumbling. Yeah,
but the thing is, I mean, as I always say, in the audience will be sort of rolling their eyes. Nothing exists in a vacuum. And if you think about it, sort of mid-70s, Britain's in a bit of a state, really. And there's it's the government sort of crumbling. Howard Wilson has got the Labour government in there. We've got like 3-day weeks, strikes everywhere, and it's all very nihilistic, and unemployment is above 1 million. I mean, I know you're only a wee lad, but still, I mean, it was born out of that. Nothing is going right. I mean, the Pistols obviously go on, what was it, Bill Grundy's show in the world, that the world gets shocked on its head. And people tend to forget that Susie Sue was there as well at the same time on the same interview. But what was, when did you decide, you sort of look around and go, hang on, we're the coming thing kind of thing? Or did you just go to a gig and they were like, your tribe was there, John?
Well, even that wasn't that instant. I grew in Blackpool, so it wasn't like an epicenter punk rock culture. There wasn't a gig on every week. There's about a gig every 3 months. It's for us, it's a second-hand culture, just guessing what it was and things. I mean, that thing about that dystopian vision you play in Britain, yeah, it was like that, but it's always like that, isn't it? It always feels like it always feels like bits of it are about to fall apart and bits of it aren't, isn't it? So, and I think a lot of the bands, the Pistols were amazing, but they didn't sing about that. Rotten was singing about his own personal psychodrama, which you could tap into, that claustrophobia, and that you could feel it in the music, and that was fantastic as well. But it wasn't a cliched manifesto. It wasn't like, the Sex Pistols will be, this one's about Britain being rubbish. It wasn't like that at all. Their songs, quite arty, actually, quite very clever. But the sound they made captured the feeling, that people did feel discontent, but people always do. And I think people think a bit too much about stuff, like probably we do feel discontent, and that music was a soundtrack to it. Yeah, but it didn't offer any answers. It was just offered chaos, and it offered was just like 1,000 question marks, and you had to work out the answer yourself. And I like that, because you had to work things out for yourself. It wasn't like a kit that you could be this thing.
But at the same time, you're asking the questions rather than just going, oh, well, apathy, we're just going to sit around and do smack and lie on our floor and watch watch the windows melt, because it was like, we're angry, we want to smash it up and start again. And that was that. People talk about the energy of punk that kind of, as I would say, would it burn itself out after the 76, 77 and the Jubilee?
Well, it didn't really, because the kids now still pick up on their energy, still get young punk bands, but you get. But and in the end, I think it's just the best end of pop culture. Pop culture can be really empowering. And the great thing about punk was, for me personally, my friends, it empowered us to go and do stuff. I never ever thought I could be in a band. But then the message we got, we probably misinterpreted it. Punk seemed to be saying anyone can do it. Of course, anyone can't do it. It's really hard, isn't it? We thought, if we don't get guitars, we'd be as good as The Clash in about a week. We didn't realise that Mick Jones was one of the greatest guitar players and songwriters that the UK's ever produced. You know, we just thought they were like us, but of course they weren't. They were a little older, and they're on proper record labels, and they'd actually worked their craft. You know, we didn't know anything about that.
But I mean, again, but it's switchy gigs. It's everybody get in the back of the van, as Henry Rollins famously wrote. I mean, fun. I mean, it's got to be. I don't know, but it's got to be fun from the beginning. And again, I go on about connection to people about, when you're on stage, there is a connection between you, and I'm a rubbish guitarist, and an audience. In my case, it's connection because they're throwing stuff. But you know what I'm saying? There's a moment where you hit, and everybody's on the same page, and it's the best rush that you can possibly have.
I always think that with music. I think you're right there, exactly. Because I think you write a song, or somebody band writes a song, the whole band get together, make that song work. So that's the creative thing. You're all in the middle of the Venn diagram. But when you do a gig, the audience, in a sense, joins the band as well. So when the audience is jumping up and down or nodding their heads, they're in on the song, and they're in the middle of the Venn diagram, So I think that's the beauty of music. And I think one thing I do talk about sport, but music is harmony in a time of chaos, isn't it? So we live in chaotic times. We always have done. Yeah. But with music, everybody's on the same page all at once. When you hear a choir singing and everyone's singing at the same time, it's a blissful thing, isn't it? And it goes beyond everything, doesn't it? And that's the thing about music. But it could be very rudimentary music. It doesn't have to be a choir. It could be a punk band playing in a bar, or it could be Motorhead in the old days. It's a place where everybody is in a magical, mystical place all at once. And that thing we talk about writing about it, how do you write about that? But you just say, this is magical. People wouldn't expect someone to describe Motorhead as magical, but they were, because everybody's in that space all at once in the same time, and it's an amazing connection, isn't it? It's one of the few places you get to connect. And also, the thing that I keep banging on about is that music is a time machine, because you can play the opening three seconds of Ace of Spades. And I remember being in a youth club in Stoke-on-Trent, being 11 years old and winning a headbanging contest. And I'm back there immediately, because that is the sound that you get. There are certain bits of music that take you who you were trying to snog, what you were wearing, the smell of Fribble, whatever it was. And that is one of the beauties of music as well, John. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It connects you. But also it can be very present as well. So you can hear Ace of Spades, and it gives you all those memories, but also at the same time, it's present and it's in that moment as well, isn't it? I always think that's interesting as well. Like, so much music that we listen to, most of the people who made it aren't with us anymore, but it still sounds fresh and new, doesn't it? And that's an odd thing. It's like ghosts singing at you from beyond the grave, isn't it? Yeah, I'm big on Buddy Holly, because I reckon he's one of the first. If you want to strip down music sound, that's him, and and Eddie Cochran and that sort of stuff. That's an original punk band. That's people going, we're teenagers, we're fed up, we're going to play this music, and forget Sinatra and the big band sound. Although Sinatra was great, I get what you mean. Yeah. Buddy Holly was amazing. He's the first one that showed people that could write their own songs as well and sing them, wasn't he? That was his whole thing, wasn't it? I mean, without Buddy Holly, you don't have the Beatles, do you? Beatles, Crickets, in the name. Isn't it? That idea that, you can, anybody, whether they're good at it or not, can grab ideas out of thin air. I love that as well, that idea that you could write a song, anybody can write a song. When we learned that from punk, you think, if you're just a fan listening to music, you just think, how do they do this? Where's this stuff come from? But then you start to realise that most people, if they could be asked, could sit there and make something up. It might not be good, and other people might not want to listen to it, but you can still do it. And I thought that was a great thing about punk. It opened that space that we could go in and run around, run amok in show business. Yeah, but you see, the thing is, if you say that it might not be very good, and they don't, but you've got to write it for yourself, because if you try and write it for an audience, we know that fails. It's what is it, radio friendly unit shift or whatever the song was called. Do you know what I mean? You write the song because you want to get it out there, and then if people like it, brilliant. If they don't, you've still written a song or whatever. Although some people do, some people can write to order. Some people, they have like pop production lines, don't they? And they have all the little tricks and that. But it sounds too cynical to me in the end, a piece of music. But it works in a sense because it sells or whatever. But it's nothing better than if you make a racket with your friends and other people connect with it. You think, wow, how did that happen? And there's so many people I've interviewed over the years, and they're as mystified as anybody. why anybody like their band. You could be like one of the biggest bands in the world, and they go, "This is insane." Most people really like it, and then they go, "How am I ever going to repeat that? I have no idea what I did in the first place."
I mean, talk about people sort of like making it and not wanting it. I mean, you interview Nirvana, and if there was ever a band who didn't want to, who were ready for the music but weren't ready for the fame. I mean, literally in 3 years they've gone from playing basements to being internationally recognised around, and being, again, boom, a culture movement that was as big as punk, because it automatically changed the way that people dressed, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it was huge, wasn't it? I mean, I did the first interview with him, rang him up at his mum's house.
Right.
And his mum was going, "Kurt, there's somebody on the phone."
So how did they come across you? Because, I mean, I first saw them on The Voice, I think it was, Terry Christian's show, at least we go late at night, and went, blimey, what's that? Didn't get it first time around. So how did they come across your radar then?
The first single came out, and before it was out, somebody had I think they had like a demo, a cassette of it, just to get orders in the shops. And it's in my friend's record shop, and they played it, and they're all going, "This is terrible." I was going, "Oh God, this is amazing, his voice." And so I got the number off the record label and rang him up at his mum's house. I did that. 6 months later, we went out to New York to do this next interview, and we didn't know this, but there was no hotel, so we ended up having to stay with Nirvana and the band they were headlining called Tad in this flat in New York for 4 days, squashed up on the floor.
That must have been interesting.
It was. Well, at the time, it was a total drag because we're going, God, well, I mean, I didn't even have a sleeping bag. I had to sleep under my jacket on this floor. It was a one-room flat in a mad part of New York. It's dead posh now. So we went to the gig and they supported Tad. There's about 30 people there. They trashed all the gear. It was an amazing gig. I mean, they were mind-blowing. They weren't trashing the gear for any kind of effect for the audience. They just trashed the gear because they were just so euphoric. But the thing about Kurt was he did want it. He wanted to be massive because I don't know if you've ever seen his diaries. He got they printed his diaries out a few years ago and had lists of things he had to do and speak to this person here because they may be able to get me a record deal. He had a plan, but I think when he got there, it wasn't the Nirvana he was hoping it was going to be. I think because he had issues, because he was depression and that, I think he thought like a lot of people do, if you make it, the place you get to is so amazing that all that melts away. Because you get there, you're just miserable in a bigger house, aren't you? And the disappointment of it, and it's a really tragic, sad story, isn't it? The whole thing.
Yeah, and he's got the tools, hasn't he? He's got the money, so he's got the tools to indulge himself in his chosen, whatever.
Yeah, there's just more drugs, more guns. Which is weird, isn't it? Because there's two versions. One of him was like this underground guy. He was really punk rock and his DIY punk rock and his attitude. And the other bit got sort of tainted by the rock star lifestyle, which I know is very seductive in him. And he was trying to mask the pain with all this stuff, but that overtook him, didn't it? If he probably would have been better if he just stayed in little bands like the rest of us, just touring around the world playing small venues. But that's a tough life as well,
The glamour of sleeping on a floor in New York with your own jacket. How do you approach sort of interviewing somebody like I don't know, Patti Smith, for example? I mean, legendary. I mean, what's your interviewing process like? I mean, do you do reams and reams of research, or do you just rock up and you kind of know what you're going to talk about, like this interview? Do you just sort of rock up and kind of think you know what you're going to talk about and just see where it goes from there, Rob?
Probably more the latter, but then I'm cheating a bit, aren't I? Because I've been into this stuff for nearly 60 years now. So I spend every day thinking about it, reading about it, talking about it. So, I mean, if I had to do an interview with somebody in 5 minutes' time I wasn't expecting, I'll be able to do it. And also because I do play music, so I understand the creative process and that. So, and they know that as well. A lot of musicians are much more trusting if they're speaking to another musician. And also I'm curious, I'm interested in them or not. I don't put myself in the interview. I keep myself out of the interview. So, normally you get about 10 minutes of the person. This is an in-conversation, Patti Smith, in front of 800 people audience.
Right.
And it's in Sheffield. So normally you get a little time in the green room just so you sort of get to know each other on a level. Because, within about a minute you can work somebody out, can't you? But she was late, so we had to go straight on stage. I said to her, how far can I go with this? Because you don't know. And she goes, you can go as far as you want. And she was crying in the interview. She was like, quite flirtatious as well, funny, serious, great storyteller. It's probably one of my best favourite interviews. She was like, because she's very open, she doesn't hide anything. She's not playing games, so she she's very human. So that I like that.
Do you still get that? I mean, because we're in a world now where you have people and they're brand ambassadors. I mean, I'm not saying Marquis Smith is the brand ambassador for Adidas or something like that. That would be an interesting combination.
Well, it would have been by now. But the people who do the brands at Adidas are really on top of their music. They know their music inside out.
Yeah.
So that would have been an idea they would have loved.
But I mean, you see where I'm coming from. Do you ever do interviews where there's a PR person sort of lurking in the background, or are you beyond that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did Johnny Rotten years ago, and his PR came in and said, "You've had your 45 minutes," but he goes, "No, I'm enjoying this." So the PR had to slope off. But that interview started on the wrong foot. Of course, it did with him, because he did that thing that Londoners do where they do impressions in northern accents, like you're really stupid northerner. And then I could check. Then about 2 minutes in, I could see he's thinking, "Oh God, this guy actually knows what he's talking about." I think the trouble with him, he just gets interviewed generally by tabloid people, and they always want, "You're the most controversial man in the world," and he's sort of prodding, and he's just controversial. I just talked to him about music, and because behind all that facade that he's puts on a bit, he's actually a very sensitive, articulate person. I'm interested in that person. I'm not interested in the one who says outrageous stuff. I'm bored of that.
Yeah, because the other thing is the fact that hopefully we all evolve as human beings. I mean, we are not the same person, now that we are in the prime of our lives, John, obviously. Look at us. Outstanding figures of manhood. But you see what I'm saying? It's like what we were when we were 19 years old, blimey, and what we are now, or hopefully, as Muhammad Ali said, you evolve. If you're still chasing the same things at 20 as well and you're 60, then you're not really a human being at all. I mean, you want to see where they've gone. You want to see where Mick Jones has gone with his music, Cookie, the drummer's gone with his music. You know what I'm saying? They should be something saying different because they've been through a life experience.
Yeah. It could be all different things. I mean, they can do a version of what they were at 19, just a different version, innit? But they don't have to complete it. Also, some people do complete massive sea changes, and that's interesting as well, isn't it? I don't think you should ever tell people or expect people to do any path. They could find incredible wisdom, or they could get more and more stupid or dumber as they get older, or they could be incredibly disappointing and end up, everything that people invested in them when they were younger, they do the opposite when they get older. But they still make good records. I mean, I'm not naming any names, but you can guess who people are. But there are some people's interviews, you go, "Oh, God, I can't read that. That's just so awful." And you go, "But the record is actually really good." So I have got this stage where I really do detach the art and the artist a lot of time. To the point now, it's actually a relief when you read an interview with somebody that you liked when you were a kid, and actually, they're still pretty sound then.
Yeah, sometimes you get that with artists who were really, really good in their early days and then went completely like, ooh, and you look at it now and think, okay. It's almost, there's two different people. There's up until that album, the third. But yeah.
On that, of course, on that, you just go, they were brilliant for 2 years, and that's all, that was enough for me,
Yeah.
People have gone about that, I went to see so-and-so and they're 83 and they can hardly sing now. You go, well, of course, his voice has gone a bit, It's a lap of honour. We're there to celebrate that moment in time they changed the world, isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, when people say they go to see the Rolling Stones, it's like, yeah, but you see, their influences, all that lot, Clapton, that was all sort of Muddy Waters and, Sonny Boy Williamson, all that sort of stuff. And they've become those because those blues guys were going until they dropped, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great clip of Stone's first TV appearance in America, where they insist that Howling Wolf comes on the show.
Yeah.
And the TV station, America, never heard of Howling Wolf, because America's terrible at celebrating its own heroes, especially if they're not white in those days. And Howling Wolf stood there, and he's never been on telly in his life. And in fact, he's only about 50 then. He looks like this really old guy in a white shirt. And the Stones are sat round and like, wow, it's God. We never thought we'd meet God at all. And Howling Wolf is God, isn't he? I mean, he's one of the greatest singers of all time, isn't he? So you go and see the Stones now. And then, of course, it's not the Stones years ago. But now that they become this kind of fascinating freak show, isn't it? Because it's like you go see him and go, wow, how old is Mitch? How can he actually do that?
So when it came to writing this tome of which we are speaking vaguely, punk rock ruled my life. A, why the title? And B, is this about your journey, John, as the Americans would say?
Well, yeah, if you want to put it like that, I guess it is. But then I thought it's also, I'm not sitting here going, I'm David Beckham, I'm so incredibly famous, everyone wants to know everything about me. It's a memoir of a generation in a sense. It's a memoir of people who grew up glam rock to punk rock to post-punk and kept going, and I think you can read the book and have no idea who I am, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, I did a band, fumbled my way through a band," or "I remember when Nirvana came along." So it's a memoir of a generation. I'm the narrator in a sense, So it doesn't have to be about. It is about me. It's a musical memoir, but it's not. It doesn't have to be super personal about me. No one's interested in me, so
yeah. But you say you say that, you see. But you see, you've got this look, and I know it works well on radio, John. But you've still got the mohawk, you've still got the cheekbones, for goodness' sake. I mean, you've done a bit of that there modelling. So it is, and I'm not going to use the word iconic, but it's an iconic look.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but it was always about dressing up. I felt punk wasn't dressing down, and also, I think the only judge is the mirror as well. If you look in the mirror and think, yeah, that looks right, then it's right. And then if other people think, at your age, shouldn't you be a bit more sensible? You go, well, it's nothing to do with you, is it? It's nothing to do with you now at 16, and it's nothing to do with you now at 65. This is I do my thing. I don't care what you're wearing. It's not my problem, is it? It's like, so this is what I'm wearing. This is how I deal with the world. And I'm not getting in anybody's way. I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah, personally, I always get offended when you get mates from whatever school you're at. I still got things from back on Stoke-on-Trent, and they're all wearing at Christmas. They're all wearing the mince pudding onesie. It's like that is offensive. You took the middle-age pill.
I know what you mean, but then it's up to them. If they think that looks fine, do it. It's harmless, isn't it? As long as they don't bother me about what my hair's like, because you still get it now and then. People going, "Oh, yeah." But I tell you what's really almost worse now. You get kids coming up to you going, "Your hair's amazing, mate. Where'd you get that?" It's not meant to be like that. You're not meant to think I look cool. You're meant to think I look ridiculous. There's the footballers when they started having because footballers were late on this, weren't they? When they started having their fancy haircuts, and everybody thinks you've got a footballer's haircut. You didn't come from there.
The book. What are you hoping that people will discover? What do you think that people are going to learn from Punk Rock Ruined My Life, apart from the fact they didn't?
I think in a way, it sort of explains what punk rock probably was to most people. Most people into punk rock didn't grow up in London, never went to the King's Road. They're in a place like, you're in Stoke, I was in Blackpool, small towns where not much went on. And we had to work out what this was ourselves and make the clothes and the music ourselves. There's no one to help you. And that was what's brilliant about it. And I think most people, 98% of people into punk or any kind of youth culture, or doing it from the outside. So you could be 18 and read this book, and you could be an 80-year-old kid who loves, Fontaine's DC now, whatever the big indie band is at the moment, and you're trying to do your version of it. And it's really difficult because you're in this nowhere town. And you read this book and go, yeah, but they did it with less because we didn't even have the internet. Yeah. We couldn't even look anything up. But that's the power of music, isn't it? That it does change your life, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And it changes the world in a better way, I think.
And we're kind of lucky ones because I get to sit at the end of a microphone and talk to myself all day and play great music, and you get to be sitting in very swanky looking green rooms in Belfast talking about a book. Where are you going next on the tour? Where's the next stop on the tour, John?
Carlisle, and Galashiels, Edinburgh, Newcastle. Yeah, so I'm actually going around playing all the small towns I'm talking about. I've been to these towns endlessly. I've toured for years, so the band, we were never snobby enough. We only played really cool places. We go everywhere.
Yeah.
If I meet somebody on a train and ask where they're from, I can talk about their town because I've been there. But I go around the town. I'm interested in these places. I know all the cool, weird little bits of these towns. I go, oh yeah, Carlisle, it's got that really beautiful square and this medieval tower or something. They'll go, has it? They go, yeah, you don't even know your own town.
The book is called Punk Rock Ruined My Life. It's by the brilliant John Robb. John, if people want to find you and say lovely things to you on the social medias or whatever, you got a website, where can people find you?
Yeah, I've got a John Robb website, but it's pretty better than the usual cliche socials, isn't it? Instagram, that's John Robb 77. Twitter's the same. I like calling it Twitter because it annoys Elon Musk, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
You can call it X. You can get lost. And I'm on Facebook and that, so people can find. They're not hard to find. Yeah. And
77 is obviously the year of your birth because we're both, as we said, in the prime of our lives. Yeah?
Some people like to think that sometimes go, no, it's the punk code, isn't it?
The book is called Punk Rock Ruined My Life and Other Stories. It's by the brilliant John Robb. John, it's been an absolute honour, sir, to speak to you today.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was really good fun. Yeah, thank you.